we can do all the back end math and homework and product positioning and DSMP and really try to understand and prepare for success. But ultimately, we know the consumer decides. What a lot of people don't know or see is that this successful launch will beget more success. We have a whole innovation pipeline within a parking lot of, okay, if this succeeds, what are we doing next?
You're listening to CPG Launch Leaders, the show where we interview new product trailblazers. Get ready for inspiration and secrets from the front lines of CPG innovation. Now here are our hosts, Darcy Ramler and Alan Peretz.
Welcome to CPG Launch Leaders. I'm Alan Peretz, and I'm here with my co-host, Darcy Ramler. Today, we're sitting down with Curtis Eggemeyer. Curtis has been a leader of Lemi Shine since 2007. He's led the cleaning brand's exponential growth and expanded its presence into new categories, some of which we're going to talk about today.
That's right, Alan. Curtis will tell us all about how Lemi Shine has become a safer cleaning product powerhouse brand and why COVID and e-commerce brought about unexpected launch successes. Let's get started. Nice to have you on today, Curtis. We're beyond excited to explore really behind the scenes about some of the 30 plus products that Lemi Shine has launched in the cleaning category. But before we dive in, we have a little bit of a tradition here of how we like to start each episode, and that is with one question. Currently, what new product has caught your attention in the market?
Oh my gosh, great question, Darcy. So I think to start, really, I am a packaging guy, right? And so new packaging innovation within packaging really intrigues me. And especially being in the cleaning space and what's going on, one that is almost like a circle back in time for us. So we've seen one of our competitors actually launch a package that we launched 5 years ago. And we're tracking that success and seeing how they've done it differently and what's leading to that success. It's an inverted dish soap, and they're apparently doing really phenomenal with it. So it's really intriguing to us. And then I think outside of just packaging innovations as well, things that we're tracking and finding really intriguing are the emphasis of scents these days across the category. And there are new brands coming out with really kind of a scent-driven play. So if we think of competitors like Mrs. Meyer's, who's really owned scents in our world, a more recent one that has been kind of keeping an eye on is laundry sauce. And a really interesting e-com player right now and doing a phenomenal job with scents and laundry.
You know, what's interesting there is like there is a parallel with scents in general, because even if you look in the deodorant side of the world, the Dr. Squatches, people that have really been innovative of smells that are coming and not your, out of the box, not your traditional. So I think there's a lot of play that's going on there in different categories with scents.
It definitely is. And I love that you mentioned Dr. Squatch because I've been watching them for quite a few years now. And that one's been interesting to watch.
Yeah, their marketing is great.
Yeah.
So we're going to talk about new products, but before we do that, can you just give us a quick overview of Lemi Shine, the history, your experience with the company?
Yeah. How much time do we have today, Alan?
So as much as you need.
I say that because I've been with the company for, 17 years now, joined back in August of 2006. So August is a big month for me, commemorating 17 years with the company. I came on in sales right whenever the brand went national within Walmart. That really parlayed a lot of success and built a lot of momentum within the brand and the single product that we had at the time. One thing led to another, helping out the founder and previous owner in sales. That led to a lot of expanded distribution very quickly, so much so that we had to go on a capital campaign. And just as, time would have it and things lining up in life, my family had sold the farm and ranch that we grew up on, and they decided to come in and become investors of Lemi Shine. For the next 7 years, we spent building the business from a manufacturing capability standpoint and product portfolio standpoint, really coming in through the back door and boosters and additives and developing a line of machine cleaners. And then that success allowed us to really graduate and get into some of these even more competitive categories like dish detergents, liquid dish soap, household cleaning sprays and wipes and things of that nature. The last 7 years, we have been focused on really building out the brand. And then COVID happens and then explodes a lot, especially from an e-com side. of consumer demand. And interestingly enough, in this journey as well, my family handed off the baton this past year to another family, being the Grupo Allen. So the Allen family acquired us in February of 23, and we're committed to, and they are committed to as well, the Lemi Shine vision and purpose with that brand.
Just a follow-up question. The brand's probably changed a lot since 2006. Would I recognize it at shelf if I saw it?
You would recognize the logo for sure. We've done as minimal changes as we could to that, but the rest of the package has really night and day difference, from predominantly being a package filled with electric yellow, kind of mustard electric yellow, to now just a variety and sea of colors with kind of this bubble effervescent packaging that we've really gotten behind, invested in, and consumers have really responded extremely well to. So we're sticking with that. Consumer demand is there for that. They love it. And this electric colored pattern, we're bringing like fun to the category through colors. But I think even more than that, we are continually staying on our vision and our mission to bring clean cleaning to homes across the U.S., right? So everything we do follows several principles, right? So from being powerful, working as good as or better than any of the conventional brands out there, far exceeding a lot of the natural brands, but also falling into the same vein of the natural brands. But we follow the guidelines of US EPA Safer Choice program. So everything that we make is EPA Safer Choice approved, clean ingredients, certified. And then the last thing we want to do is ensure that our pricing and our approach for consumers is approachable, right? Not saying we're going to be the low cost leader in every regard, but we're definitely not charging consumers a premium, because as a family, we've always believed that consumers deserve their cake to have their cake and eat it too. We think this should be a normal thing within household cleaning for consumers to have great products that are environmentally conscious, safer ingredients, and not a premium charged for those. And then we've got definitely an emphasis and a focus on hard water, where we've been successful with our history as a brand, and continuing on within that vein as well.
As you've kind of explained, it's been a process and a journey through it. You've launched over 30 products. One of my favorite personal stories is your decision to launch straight citric acid into the CPG market. I would love for you to tell us a little how you reached that decision to move from citric acid being such a key ingredient in your lines to really taking it out on its own as a product.
That one actually caused a lot of internal tension within the team. I mean, you can imagine, like, wait, we're going to expose our go-to top secret ingredient that makes all of our products work extremely well. The inception of this actually came back in 2018. And I remember the head of marketing at the time and myself just going circles round and round about, like, we really need to do this. There is such an opportunity out there for this. But they were so scared for cannibalization and to put that out there. And it's like, guys, it will be incremental. Trust me, with what's going on in the marketplace. This segment is growing, especially on Amazon. We're seeing it continue to take off. We purchase more citric acid than any of these other players. I guarantee you, why shouldn't we be the ones to plan there and deliver that to the consumer, right? It's core. It's within the brand. Let's do it. And so it wasn't until last year that we started that launch. And I feel like I truly wish we would have done it back in 2018, because we would for sure be the market leader today. But we're definitely up and coming. It has been a very, very successful launch and proven to be a great investment and product strategy for us.
And when you said you identified the opportunity, right? You leaned into it, you saw it. Can you kind of expand a little bit more on how you went about that? How did you say, okay, we're missing something here? You know, obviously there's an uptick in the category, you're seeing competitors, et cetera.
Yeah, so we've got a few subscriptions, right, where we're able to kind of take a peek under the hood and follow what's selling really well on Amazon, for example. And two, also taking a look at brick and mortar and what's selling in the marketplace there. And there is almost next to nothing today being sold in brick and mortar. So I think that's just a continual huge upside and opportunity for us. But within, under the Amazon hood, we were able to see this was a really low competitive marketplace with high opportunity. So we took a look at that and really sized up. Well, what size do we need to launch with, right? Because sizing matters, pack architecture matters. And so with these tools, we were able to go in and discern what package, what pricing, in order to be able to launch a product into the marketplace for consumers to be attracted to.
Curtis, is citric acid a substitute for something else, or is it something that people are already buying?
Citric acid is one of those ingredients that is in so many food products predominantly, right? If you were to take and turn over the back of a packaged food, across the landscape from canned beverages all the way to any sort of bar or processed prepackaged food, it's in food across the board. And how they're using it in food in very, very, small degree is typically as a food preservative or as like a taste enhancer, right? So for like a little bit of tartness or sour. But within cleaning, yes, entirely. Citric acid is actually 12 times stronger than vinegar. And so a lot of consumers are utilizing vinegar across the landscape as kind of a DIY at-home use for cleaning. And what they don't realize is there is an ingredient out there that is significantly more powerful and doesn't have that foul odor that comes alongside vinegar. So it is such an opportunity for us to continue to invest and bring that to the marketplace on that side.
I have to admit, I may be a vinegar user, and now I'm going to have to convert and switch on over.
Yeah, and you bring up a great point within that too, Darcy, in that we, with this, it's always a question of, right, we can do all the back end math and homework and product positioning and DSMP and really try to understand and prepare for success. But ultimately, we know the consumer decides. And what we've been able to see within this is the consumer is deciding, and we're seeing great traction with it. And what a lot of people don't know or see is that this successful launch will beget more success. We have a whole innovation pipeline within a parking lot of, okay, if this succeeds, what are we doing next, right? And it's dot. So we're really excited about some future products to come out of this one.
So Curtis, was this a COVID play at all, or is this something totally different?
No, I think this is something totally different. I think COVID totally enhanced because we saw a lot of supply demand constraints, right? Or more so supply constraints. Demand was a constant, but supply really got challenged within COVID, especially from a lot of products that come from overseas, the port issues and shipping container issues that, were challenged during COVID. A lot of this supply does come from overseas. However, we at Lemi Shine have made a commitment for it to be in North America. And so we continue to uphold and retain that commitment. And it did allow us to probably, to your point, Alan, capitalize on a few consumers that may have, been purchasing citric acid from somewhere else. And they were left with going to Amazon. And we had a steady supply. Again, because our supply was coming from North America, there wasn't any issue, no supply constraints, demand stayed constant. So we were able to fulfill and take care of consumers during that time.
I know you've mentioned Amazon a few times and kind of you peeked under the hood to see intent of buyers, what's selling and so forth. Do you mind kind of explaining a little bit, understanding how e-commerce plays a role in your testing or learning when it comes to launching a new product?
Historically, prior to Amazon, we've always had very select retailers that we would do test market launches with. And we still have those today. Great retail partners, brick and mortar partners that we continue to work through in that regard. But within Amazon, there's such a great opportunity to test and learn on Amazon. And the reason is we have instant consumer feedback. So not only are consumers giving us a rating, they're also giving us a review. And then a lot of times in these reviews, what we love to hear is also how they're using it. I mean, we've come up with other uses of our existing products because a consumer has expressed how they're using it. It's like, oh my gosh, we never thought of that. That's amazing. We have this idea and this intent when we launch products, especially like, a versatile food grade citric acid. We think it's going predominantly, DIY for bath bombs or for, these makeup masks that women are making as a DIY. But we're also seeing that consumers are using it in various other areas around their home because they know how to use citric acid. And it's just really unique and amazing. Now, what we do with that then is we compile all of that data and helps us build a story as we would go into, and the plan this next year is to commercialize that. And we would go into brick and mortar and be able to share with a retailer, hey, this is where consumers are looking for this, right? While we think, hey, it should be in food, it may not necessarily end up being in food. It may end up going into another department where consumers are also utilizing it. And then the other great thing too is we're able to generate demand as well and understand consumer demand for this product. And so especially when you're going into a white space type arena and a new innovation, a lot of times you're going to a buyer and it's like, hey, we've done this research and we think it's X and Y. Will you take a risk with us? Will you take a leap of faith with us and go out on this? And post-COVID, we're seeing a lot of retailers not want to do that, right? Because they have their own constraints and excess inventory and things of that nature that everyone is still dealing with. But what this allows us to do is to walk in with a bona fide customer story, how consumers are using it, what their demand is, and how big the marketplace could be. Because we all know that Amazon sells a certain percentage, within the US of goods being sold. So it allows us to really kind of paint the picture of what is really the market size of this opportunity as well.
Absolutely. And I think as Amazon keeps evolving, right? Their metrics are evolving, their data is evolving, especially in a category like yours, getting now measurement on subscribe and save. You're not only seeing one-time customers, you're seeing, is it a repeat customer? And then, like you said, the value of the sell-in story, right? When you're going to these retailers to say, not only do we have this great idea in this product, but we validated it and we actually have consumer insights that you can leverage now. It makes that probability of saying no a lot less.
Hi, Jesse. What brings you to the airport?
Mike, I'm off to the headquarters to share an update on the big launch.
Oh, I've heard it's selling really well. Care to share your secret?
Well, just between us, it's all thanks to Bold Labs. Their exclusive digital test market research allows you to optimize your product, marketing, and pricing before the big launch.
That sounds fantastic. How can I learn more?
Just visit www.boldlabs.com. It's all right there.
This is the final call for Flight 723 to Chicago.
Looks like we'd better go. Thanks for the tip, Jesse.
See you soon, Mike. And remember, Bold Labs is ready to help your product soar.
So you talked a bit about the DIY consumer. How do they find out about this? Is that a push or a pull? What's happening there?
We definitely kind of use the strategy of both. Great partnership with Bold and pursuing after customers on our Amazon platform. But in terms of and finding those customers, right, there's also the side of which we're tapping into our PR group. We're tapping into our social network and really making a lot of pushes and just making consumers aware within that, utilizing influencers, right, that have a voice in the space. So if you think of great influencers that are DIYers, things of that nature, this is definitely an opportunity to tap into those from the pool perspective. Gosh, what was it? A few months ago, we were thinking of like the great voice of a DIYer, Bob Vila. We were featured, a product feature within his website and blog just a few months ago. So it's kind of snowballing right now. And so that will continue. And again, it just will continue to build that great story to be able to continue to push product out into the marketplace and get it in the consumer's hands. And I think DIY is such a crucial landscape to be playing in right now with the state of the economy, the cost effectiveness of it for consumers. We are definitely seeing DIY type derived products win in this marketplace right now. And so this one has far exceeded expectations. I remember, kind of Babe Ruth calling the shot with the team a while back. And they're like, man, you're crazy. There's no way. And I'm like, no, look, this is the size of the marketplace. This is the share that we have to get. And we can totally go and get it. And now we're past that point, and everyone's just like, this is awesome. So,
wow.
That's the point where you get to sit back and just smile a little bit, Curtis, and say,
Yeah.
and like, when someone brings something up in the meeting, it's like, I don't want to say I told you so, but I told you so.
Oh yeah. And that's whenever I go back to, 2018 and just fighting that within the team. And that's like, oh man, if we would have started this, right, there's a little bit of like, I told you so, but then also like beating yourself up for why didn't we do this sooner? So sometimes you just truly have to go with your gut on these things.
Well, I know we've talked a lot about citrus acid, but another interesting launch story for Lemi Shine is how you guys pivoted into machine cleaning. Maybe you could talk a little bit more about that to us.
Yeah, back in 2010, we actually had a buyer of a retailer come to us and say, hey, we want you to make a product that does this and this and this. And we're like, great, well, we'll make you, two different products. And he's like, no. We just want one product. And I was like, okay, well, if you just want one product, like, look, our existing item already does majority of that. So we can just put that on the front panel. And he's like, no, I am trying to get rid of other products. This is SKU rationalization, Curtis. You're not hearing me. I want you to create one new product. I was like, okay, I gotcha. I'm following now. So we went back in, pulled in our chemist and started the R&D on it. And we created a multi-use, multi-purpose machine cleaner that worked in the garbage disposal cleaner, washing machine cleaner, and dishwasher cleaner, right? So we brought all these machine cleaners in one. And with that, we were able to launch with the largest brick and mortar retailer out there. And it took off. I mean, it went through the roof, was outselling everything else. And then we had this idea, okay, well, if this is working, consumers, we were getting a little bit of feedback that consumers were confused that can one product really do all of this? And for the longest time, it appeared to be the world's best idea for us, right? And for the retailer because it allowed the SKU rationalization. But then after we kind of got over that cycle of SKU rationalization where retailers had more of an appetite to add more products in, we said, you know what, I'm curious if consumers would cling to these products more if they were single-use items, specifically designed and formulated, not as like a universal cleaner, but for each machine. And so we launched that. And again, there was this like fear of, okay, did we just cannibalize everything? Are we diluting ourselves by going into 3 different packages? No, it all just continued to take off and allowed us to really be the first brand to ever come to market with a complete machine cleaning portfolio and strategy.
I know machines are important, but as a avid coffee drinker, also the descaler that you guys have, I will say, I give a shout out to that one because you got to keep your coffee machine prime.
Great point on that one, Darcy. That's where talking about that pipeline of citric acid, right, and that food grade citric acid and seeing where consumers are using it. The other great thing too is this is honestly like an innovation pipeline as well, because where we see consumers utilizing this and what we've been able to experience historically is where we get these ideas and where they come from. They are incremental to what we're doing. We have rarely ever seen any cannibalization to speak of, right? So that's why we launched a coffee descaler, is the success that we saw in food grade citric acid and going, oh my gosh, why aren't we doing a coffee machine as well? And so it's like, okay, we can play that close to like, food and consumables. So we launched it and it has started to take off and doing really well.
So I love retailer co-creation stories like this one. Does that happen often, or is that a rarity?
That one, I've seen 2 in my lifetime, actually 3, sorry. One was with that retailer back in 2010. We had another one in 2017 and then another one in 2018. And we've seen that. We haven't seen it in the last 5 years. I think, again, with what's happened with the COVID landscape, it's diminished that a little bit. But, fingers crossed, we'll be seeing that again here in the near future. But as far as being uncommon co-creation, we love to co-create with the retailers. Actually, our near and dear Texas retailer really propelled and fast-tracked our launch and our pipeline of us getting into household cleaning and some other areas And so that was partly stemmed from a co-creation project as well.
Well, we know you always learn a lot of lessons and successes, but also they always say there's more lessons to be learned in failures, especially in first launches. Can you tell us maybe about a
Yeah.
maybe a launch or an idea of Curtis that wasn't as successful as citric acid, and really what were your takeaways from that?
That is a great question. And this one was a big mistake. I say that, pulling the curtain back, we may get back into that in the future. TBD, it's table.
Maybe it was just not the right time, right?
Maybe a little bit of that. We launched into laundry detergent. So we know that hard water affects 85% of homes across the US. And one of the main areas through further research we've been able to discern is within your clothes, right? So your clothes get hard water buildup on them, or the detergent isn't able to build up as well or as quickly, and can leave your clothes a little crunchy after you pull them out. So if you've ever felt those crunchy clothes, you know what I'm talking about. And so we got into laundry detergents, and we got them EPA Safer Choice certified, and they were doing awesome. And where we failed in this was we could not get the scale to compete on our value propositions, right? Just as I said, as we began, hey, approachability and price is one of our biggest pillars that we operate on. And so we wouldn't bend on that. And it was to our own detriment, to our financials, especially within that product portfolio. And we failed in that regard to be able to create a world-class product with scale and the right financials to run, margin to run a sustainable business in that sector. So great consumer success, but we couldn't make it work internally.
So Curtis, I think back to my product launch history, and the night before, it was always a combination of exhilaration and fear. How does it feel for you? And has that changed over time, or is it always the same?
Your first ones, right, you just don't know what you don't know. And so the first ones, there's a lot more joy and a little bit less fear. And then I think kind of like in life, we all get a little seasoning, we get a little weathering. And I think now you just know a lot more of the landscape and go, oh, this could go wrong. Oh, this could go right. So you're aware of all the other 1,000 things that could go wrong within a new product launch and everything else. So there's maybe a little bit more fear today in the weight and the brevity of it all than historically. But overall, the excitement around each and every product to launch is still there, right? Especially whenever we continue to hold it in that regard of we make products that work. We third-party lab test this stuff to the nines, and multiple third-party lab testing, because we want to ensure that consumers' experience is top-notch. And if it's not, we know what happens. And so we're not just throwing anything out there to see what sticks. We have really high confidence that this will stick. And so we're all excited about it and looking forward to it. But I do think, today we just know a lot more of the issues that can go wrong within all of it. And so the awareness can sometimes be a little bit a blessing and a curse.
We're now in 2023. You said, you guys started 2007. We're launching things back then. Can we kind of expand on what your feelings are of what has changed in product innovation and being able to launch based off of 2007 to now being able to launch and educate in 2023?
I think that the biggest thing for us is we just honestly know a lot more. 2007, I'll raise my hand, no CPG experience, right, prior to 2006. So truly entrepreneurial in this regard. And now knowing how the market works, right, knowing frontwards and backwards and inside out how marketing works into the consumer, because marketing in and of itself can be such just a ball of yarn to really start to unravel and try to understand. And the reality is that landscape, more than any other landscape, changes daily. And so just to keep up on that is such a challenge. Knowing that and continually, right, thinking about the old adages of skate to where the puck is going. So we have enough intel today and insights and R&D and a full-blown chemistry and QA and all the bona fides of a major consumer products company, especially now, even more so to the nth degree with the acquisition that Alan has, brought onto Lemi Shine. That back end support has just been phenomenal, and even making us more robust in that regard. But it gives us all the more confidence of what we're able to do and bring to the marketplace today, and to bring it faster with significantly less issues and errors. I mean, I can remember the day whenever we first launched this machine cleaner, we were working on test rolls of film to package it and literally taking, because it was a test roll, it wasn't printed on, right? But we had to get this shipped. We had to get it to market. I remember nights to where we were all sitting around tables and putting labels on a flexible pouch, right? Just to ensure that it was labeled for the consumer. The great thing is today we don't experience that as much, right? We've got the full end rounded team to where we can make all these things happen very quickly and with ease and without error. Not to say we don't make errors, but a lot less for sure.
More calculated errors these days.
More calculated errors, precisely.
So now that you have this big launch behind you, what are you working on today?
So we have the coffee descaler that we just launched 3 months ago, and we're excited about that one. We've got some more citric acid type innovations in the pipeline. I know it's a little ambiguous whenever I'm saying citric acid type innovations, but we're Lemi Shine, right? We put citric acid in everything. Why? Because it's a great hard water booster and additive. It's a great detergent builder, and it's also a natural disinfectant, right? And it's such a versatile ingredient that can be used in so many ways. We're working on a few to continue down this DIY track a little bit. I guess I'll pull the curtain back a little bit more on that, but staying in that vein of DIY. And then we're also working continuously on product performance and enhancements, our existing products today, right, with just new technology that comes out, more sustainable ingredients that we find, things of that nature continually, with the evolution of ensuring that our products are always the best in the marketplace and also the most environmentally conscious as well.
Well, there's no doubt that you guys are definitely not only innovating, but putting out amazing products that not only solve a consumer's problem, but are also environmentally friendly, like you said. So to me, it's a double plus up even for the customer. But we're just really grateful, and thank you for taking the time to really share your story and Lemi Shine's story.
Oh, thank you guys. It's been a pleasure to be on, and really, really thankful to have the time with you all today. This has been fun.
It's stories like yours that remind us to keep innovating, stay inspired, and let's continue to redefine the world of CPG innovation. Thanks, Curtis.
Thanks, Curtis.
Love it. Thank y'all.
You've been listening to CPG Launch Leaders, a show from Bold Strategies Incorporated. Don't miss the next thrilling launch story. Follow the podcast on your podcast player now. Please give us a rating, leave a comment, and share episodes with your friends. Until next time.